Kendrick Shope, welcome to Get Gutsy. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. It is my complete honor and pleasure.
And as we were talking about in our little pre-show banter, I said, I know we're going to have fun because you are a fellow Southern girl like me, although you still have that accent that I lost. So tell me, where were you raised? Where do you live now?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Sweetwater, Tennessee. So we're kind of natural enemies. You're a Gator. I'm a graduate of the University of Tennessee. So my blood runs orange. I live in Bentonville, Arkansas now, which it's actually closer to Oklahoma than it is the South. It's in the northwest corner of the state, but it is the home of Walmart, where Walmart was founded. You did? Most people.
Oh, I know that girl. I know. Well, one of my weird, I guess, skills or something, pieces of knowledge is that I know where a lot of companies are headquartered because my last corporate job, I was a conference producer. So I created conferences for business executives. And my job was to conduct research with these executives to ask them about their biggest challenges and then to invite the best of the best to speak at my events. And so we would call, executives from all the top companies. And Walmart was always like the dream company because I worked, which it's funny because personally, no offense to Walmart, but I don't really want to shop at Walmart that much or ever. And that they were kind of, everyone wanted to hear from Walmart because I worked in the marketing and strategy division. And so Walmart, especially in the retail space, they're big. So yes, I know Bentonville quite well. Is your husband, does he have anything to do with that company?
Well, he was a supplier for a long time and now he's transitioned to a different job. And so he doesn't, but I will have to say a funny Walmart story. When we moved here, nearly 5 years ago, my daughter was getting ready to start kindergarten, and we walked in at Walmart, like the grocery store, and maybe regular Walmarts too. They have those bags, like the spinning bag. I don't know if you know this. So the groceries, they load your bags and then they spin and they put stuff in and it spins. Okay, so you're going to have the same experience. I had never been in a Walmart to see this. I'd been in a Walmart before, but years ago.
Right.
My kid hadn't either. And so she starts spinning this thing. And I'm like, Halliana, you got to stop. And everybody's looking. And I'm like, I'm sorry, it's our first time in a Walmart. And somebody was like, oh, I mean, it was like we had said it was our first time eating a pizza or something. I don't know. Everybody was like, oh my God, it's sacrilegious. I'm like,
you're in the Holy Grant. Yeah, like it's like the Holy Land. Exactly. Oh, that's so interesting. I love that. All right. So you've always lived in the South, lived
in Chicago for a little while, for 3 years. We lived in Chicago. I loved Chicago. I am a Southern girl, but I love the city. I always say to my friends and family, when I step off a plane in New York City, whether it's LaGuardia, JFK, and it's just the smell of the city. Sometimes it's trash. Sometimes it's smog.
Yes.
I feel like I am home. I love the city. But I am also very much a Southern woman. So, you know, massive contradictions.
Yes. I feel you on that. After living the whole life, my childhood anyway, through college in the South, I majored in public relations. And so my good friends who were like a year older than me, they were mentors before I knew what mentors were. And they had done an internship in New York City. And they're like, Jenny, you have to do it. You have to do it this summer after your junior year. You got to go to New York. I'm like, I had never been there. I never thought about doing that before. Got the internship, same agency, ends up hiring me back after I graduate. And that's just what it was. I remember when I first went there, it was like, I was a fish out of water. I had never seen anything like that before. It felt so crazy. I was like, what is this place? I was so used to, life in the South. And then you're right. It's like that energy of the city. There's something about it. Like anything is possible. You can be, do, and have whatever you want, and nobody knows. Nobody really cares. That was the thing when I grew up in the South. Like everybody knew what you were doing. Yes. One day back at school after a weekend, you're like, what did I do? I wasn't even there. I wasn't even at that thing, And so it was just this whole, different experience. And, that's life, being able to take you to, new places, and then you make decisions. So, you living where you live now, how has that been for you, building your business? And I just want to learn more about your business journey, you had said, you know, in the pre-show that you were in pharmaceutical sales, I think. So kind of walk us through your pathway in your career, and then we'll talk about like where you have landed, because you have so much wisdom to share with us on sales, which is, you know, I know a lot of my listeners are like, tell me more, but I want to know how did you get there?
Absolutely. You know, I would love to say it was a straight line. I knew the whole time where I was going to end up, right? But it was anything but a straight line. However, my first job out of college was selling. So I worked for 3 Fortune 500 companies as a top producing sales rep. 2 of those were in, I sold drugs, the legal kind, pharmaceutical sales.
Yes.
And about 7 years ago, I was rocking my daughter to sleep. She was 2 at the time. And every night since she was born, or almost every night, I try to avoid absolutes, I tell her the exact same mantra, if you will. I would not have known that it was a mantra at the time, but I have since learned. You can be anything you want to be in this world. All you have to do is believe. She's 2, so she doesn't understand me. I've said this every night for 2 years, and suddenly we were in Chicago, and it just hit me. One day, this little girl is going to wake up and say, Mommy, I can be anything I want to be in this world. So did you want to sell drugs for a living? Like, was that the legal kind? Was that your dream? Like, what happened to your dream? And I put her in the crib, and I burst into our bedroom doors, and I said to my husband, I am living a lie. This girl, here's her mama say every day, you can follow your dream. And while I was good at my job, like so many of your listeners, I'm sure, and so many of us in this industry, good at my job, no, it wasn't my passion. No, it wasn't what I wanted to do my whole life. And so from that point forward, I went on a mission to figure out what it was for me at this point in my life, because it had certainly changed from when I was, 6 and wanted to be Madonna. So
I like it. For those of you seeing the video, she's got these really awesome headphones. I'm like, you are like a rock star right now. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So because that's where a lot of our listeners are. Yeah. Finding out what it is. Like what it is, because especially for those of us women, we're smart, we're ambitious. You give us a project, we'll figure it out, because we are diligent and we want to be good. And for a lot of us, we want that approval. We want that approval. We want the rewards too. All right. So we can kind of be put into many different scenarios and like figure it out and be freaking good at it. But for those of us who have the courage to say, you know what, this isn't it. I know some things by now, and this ain't it. My life would be easier if it was it, because I wouldn't have to make those changes.
Exactly right.
Same thing. It was terrifying. It's exciting and terrifying all at the same time. So what did you do to find it?
So I think, at least thus far, that was the most painful part of this journey. It was the hardest part. There is so much information out there about finding your thing that it's overwhelming. I read every book known to man. I am one of my top 5 strengths is learner. I love to read, read everything. I got certified as I hired an executive coach at that point. So she wasn't a life coach. She was an executive career coach. She had me read Martha Beck's Follow or Find Your Own North Star. I was like, this is it. I have seen the light. This is what I want to do for people. I want to help them. I wanted to be a life coach. The problem, so I got trained as a life coach.
Okay.
The problem is I'm a terrible life coach.
Why?
I want to tell you what to do. I don't want you to figure it out. Yeah. No, I don't want to lead you to it. I'm just like, look, I can see, I think I know better than you about your life, which is ridiculous. Hence, I'm a terrible life coach. And I had been out of sales for a year or so, and I realized that I needed for my brain an end. Quota exceed quota. Quota exceed quota. I needed the carrot. Probably because I've been trained that way, but I needed to know, yes, we have been successful. We have done what we set out to do or what we promised to do with life coaching. As you know, life changes every day.
Yes.
It's evolving. And while you may work through this, something else is just around.
Yes.
That did
not work for you. That was not for your constitution.
I am on when I am on, and I am off when I am off.
Right. Well, you tried though. It was like a stepping stone for you. And so where did that then lead you?
So I ended up totally by accident at RHH Live, Rich Happy Hot Live, an event that Marie
Forleo back in the day.
And I didn't know who Marie Forleo was, but I knew who Danielle Laporte was.
Got it.
And I went to hear Danielle speak, and I had what I call a spiritual experience there. I knew that whatever was going on in this event, these were my people. I wanted to be able to do this. And so I signed up to work, did not know Marie, did not know her work. I signed up to work with her for a year.
Do her mastermind.
She never should have accepted me. But I joke with her about, like, she never should have accepted me because I didn't even have a business. I just had this, I'm going to change the world. I am person, hear me roar.
Yes.
But I walked up to her at the event, and I at this point, there were 300 people there, and I touched her and I said, I've got a quick question. And she said, I don't really have time. It's really busy. I said, that's okay. You remember my name because I am meant to work with you. Wow. And then she was off being pulled away. And so it really was a spiritual experience. I mean, I am confident, but I knew in every fiber of my body I was supposed to do this.
Totally.
So I was in her mastermind in 2011, 2012, and 2012. And I was a hot mess.
So you weren't employed at this time? Like you had stepped away?
I quit right after a happy hot life.
You were just like, I'm out. Okay, so you left the selling of the drugs, the legal drugs.
Yep.
And you're like, I'm going to be in this mastermind. I'm changing the world, and I'm going to go on this path. So you have all this space, right, on your calendar because you don't have quotas and stuff. Okay, yeah. So you're a mess because it's new. Yeah.
Well, it's new, and it just and I told, it's funny, I told Marie this year, I said, you would never admit to this, but if you all had been sitting around voting on the person least likely to succeed in business, I would have won unanimously. And I would have. I mean, I was all over the place. I was still trying to kind of figure out, am I a life coach? Actually, I was. Am I a life coach? Am I a live your dreams coach? I mean, I didn't even know what I was yet. I was in this mastermind to grow a business, and I didn't know what it was. And it was expensive.
Right. I know.
And I never will forget, she said to me, and I didn't want to hear it at the time, but she said to me, you are a natural born saleswoman. And I literally wanted to like throw my hands up in the air and scream, no, that's what I'm leaving. And then about 6 months later, Jenny, she was in that mastermind as well. And she posted in our group, hey,
Jenny, who's been a guest on this show.
Yeah, I got some sales questions. Anybody here know a good sales book? And I had lots of open space and open time. I said, look, I'm happy to hop on the phone with you. We've been in this mastermind together for 6, 7 months, maybe 8. I sold for over a decade. I may be able to help you. I may not, but it'll save you some time reading the book. And I never will forget, at the end of that 90 minutes, Jenny said, Kendrick, you're in the wrong business. This is what you are meant to do. And I cried and said, I don't know what I did. It was so natural to me at this point that I didn't know what I had done. Like, I could not believe she felt this helped or, and so she said, I'll help you pull it out. And so I wouldn't be here today without Marie and without Jenny. Marie led me to Jenny, and I would not be here without Jenny because she sat down with me and helped me pull out the pieces so I could see it.
Wow. I love that. So that was like, when you look at the connection, that's why I love having this show and just having these conversations, because I like to see those dots, the thread. Like, you were led to RHH Live, not because of Marie Forleo, who was the host of that event, but because of Danielle Laporte. You respected her work. And then you hear the opportunity for this mastermind. You're like, I got to do it. Like, I don't even really know Marie that well. Other than these are my people. I feel something in my body. Yes, it's a lot of money. I'm freaking doing it. And during that time, you said it was like messy and you were, I don't know if I'm over here. And then you saw this opportunity to serve with Jenny asking that question about sales books. And you're like, yeah, I just know that. It's like inside of me. And then boom, she saw it. Like, that's why we have to follow those nudges. I want everyone listening to take that in. And when you mentioned your story, I was like, holy crap, like that happened for me a few years prior, not with Marie Forleo's event, but with Allie Brown's event. Like, I don't know. She was my Marie Forleo. She had an event called Shine. I don't know if you'd heard of those events, but I went to that event in November of 2009. Like, same deal. Didn't really know her that well. Was on a preview call when those used to happen. And my only child at that point, now I have 3, he was still a baby. I was still nursing. During the call, I'm like researching flights to Vegas from New York. And literally I'm like, I am going to this event. I have to be there. The people in the room, once I was there, I was like, oh my God, like, where have these people been all my life? I'm pumping my boobs like during breaks. I mean, and I too, signed up for that freaking mastermind. I got called onto the stage during a live business makeover. I like pitched myself. I was like, I'm getting picked for one of these makeovers. And there was hundreds of people there. I was one of 3 picked. I sold my wedding dress actually to go to that conference, which is a great story. Yeah. Which I knew I'd always sell it.
Story.
It's a great story. It's a great story. I knew I'd always sell it. And then I did. And that was it. And it was like, same as you, Kendrick. I mean, I had a business that was still kind of amorphous, and like that mastermind just set me on that path. And those investments, they're not minor investments, although in the grand scheme of things they are, but they'll crack you open. And so I just want all of our listeners to take that in. So many women are petrified to like make an investment in themselves, to go to an event where they don't really know that many people. Like some women have never traveled for their business before. You have to be willing to put yourself out there, to bet on yourself. I mean, haven't you seen that in your path, Kendrick, and with all the women now that you work with? If you're not willing to do that, you're just not going to go that far.
Yeah, I agree. And I understand for anybody listening or watching or absorbing this content that it is hard. It is scary. And that's the reason that people don't do it. I mean, I thoroughly, in every bone of my body, believe that this work is a calling. Mm-hmm. I believe that we are meant to change lives. I believe that it is no different than public service, maybe more honorable if you look at public service today, at least politically. And so mm-hmm. I believe that it is a calling. Mm-hmm. And not everybody is perfect for it, and not everybody's right for it, and that's okay. But when you say yes to the calling, when you mm-hmm. say there are people on the other side of this computer who are in pain, who need me, who I can help, mm-hmm. once you say yes to that, then you have said yes to, I need to go all in. Mm-hmm. I need to do what it takes. And mm-hmm. one of the things, if you had asked me immediately after Marie's mastermind, what'd you get from it? Mm-hmm. I would have said, well, I didn't make any money. I spent a lot of money to travel. Mm-hmm. I spent a lot of money to be there. I met some wonderful people, but if you want to know if I made any money, no. But what I can tell you 6 years later is best investment I've made in my business. Mm-hmm. And I absolutely have made money as a result. Not indirectly, but directly. I had to be right to apply those strategies, and I wasn't there yet. You
weren't there yet. You were just taking it in.
Yes.
You were kind of building that foundation, getting stronger at your roots, so that once it all lined up, it was like, boom, you can go off to the races. And I think that's such an important point to note, because I think that sometimes, coaching gets like a bad rap. People are so quick to like shame coaches, like, yes. I didn't, I was in that program and I didn't, and you're just like, it doesn't happen immediately for everybody. It's like, if you get mad because a freaking tree doesn't sprout up overnight, it's like, that's not how it works. It doesn't work like that in nature either. Let's stop vilifying coaches. I mean, certainly if a coach doesn't deliver on their promise, that's an issue. But if you can just be in an environment, put yourself in that space and trust that you're going to get out of it what you put in. And then when the time is ripe, that's when everything's going to take off for you. And I'm so glad that you shared that.
I think that, and one of the things that, and you hit the nail on the head, but I think that one of the things, we're talking about having the courage to be able to step up and go to these things and put yourself out there and travel for business. But not only do you need to have the courage, but a smart business person learns eventually, whether it's immediately the hard way or the easy way, that everything doesn't change immediately because you did that. It's not, I just have the courage and all of a sudden the battle is done. Not that it's a battle, but I think that one of the things that I can always tell from people is their mindset about this. If they said, I did the work, my response is always lovingly, it's not I did the work. It's I do the work every day. Even if you are making multi-million dollars, you are doing the work at some point, some way. I did the work is a surefire sign to me that your mindset is off and you are thinking, I did the work, but I didn't.
It's like my sign. For those of you who see this video, or just, I have a new sign in my office that I'm obsessed with that says the work continues.
Yes.
Stay fierce.
Yes, exactly. It's exactly
that's it, right? That's my reminder every day. Like, and it is humbling sometimes, Kendrick. I don't know about you, but we don't graduate for, it's like, no. Every day you got to show up. You got to make those invitations. You got to put yourself out there. It's like, I still haven't gotten the free pass of putting myself out there. Like, I have to do that. And there's times when my soul feels like I'm like getting it ripped out of my body, and I'm like exposing myself naked on the street saying, I have something to help you. Would you like my help?
Yeah.
That is, I mean, because that's really so much at the heart of selling, is that vulnerability and that visibility. So Jenny She helped you see that you have something. It comes so easy to you because it's just what your gift is and what you're able to hone in those years of corporate. So what were, like, you finished that mastermind, you kind of had Jenny say, hey, this is your thing. What were those moves that you then made to make this thing real and like position yourself like, I am a sales expert?
So one of the things I did was I sat down with a notebook pad and paper, or notebook pad and pen, and I created a sales process. If I was going to teach it, I needed to know, I'm very step 1, step 2, step 3. That's the way my mind works. And so I needed to know, what's the first step? What's the first thing I'm going to teach? And really the only thing I taught in the beginning was how to have sales conversations that convert, or how to host a consult that sells. That was it. And I got that down to a step 1, step 2, step 3. I think there are 11 steps now, or maybe 10 to a sales conversation that converts.
Okay.
And I had 10 customers or 7 customers that with that process. And then they started asking other questions. Great. Well, I'm converting whatever, 50%, whatever. But what about the other 50%? I'm like, oh, you need to learn follow-up. So my customers were the signpost of what needed to come next. Okay, great. Well, I know follow-up. That's all sale. I mean, that's what selling is. So then we created a follow-up process. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. And then people would say, great, this is good, but my opt-in isn't converting. And at that moment, when people said my opt-in isn't converting, I was like, I see. It was like a light bulb moment. I'm one of these people that I will trudge around in the dark forever, and then I will have these ahas, and it's just like a little light bulb. And I realized it's because you're not applying sales to every lens of your business. So it's not good enough just to have an opt-in that checks the box that is above the fold. The opt-in needs to sell me on giving you my email address. Everybody's busy. Nobody wants another email in their inbox. So tell me why in the copy on the page I must have this. And so then that blew the doors of authentic selling wide open, because all of a sudden you need sales language in your social media post, in any verbal communication, in any written communication. It's not good enough just to have a sales page. Does it sell? It's not good enough just to check the box on, I posted on Twitter 5 times a day. What is the call to action? And these are things that I would have never thought to teach. I let my customers ask the questions and guide me towards that.
Yes. So where you started as one-on-one work, it sounds like, where you had, you're just putting this out there. Now, did you reach out to people who you knew, who you felt like, hey, you might need my help on this? Like, cause that's where a lot of our listeners are too. And a lot of my, coaching students or clients, like, they're in that place. So what did you do? And what tips would you have for somebody who's like, they know they have this thing, it could be a methodology, they have this expertise. How do they then get the one-on-one clients?
So 2 things I did that I one of which skyrocketed my business, but I'll tell you the non-skyrocket first.
Okay.
That saying yes to Jenny She, that when she said I need help, she then told other people. So the best form of advertising is a raving fan. And she became a friend and a raving fan. And I was in that mastermind with people who were like, well, if Jenny did this, I want to do it. And so I got some customers from Marie's mastermind. And then I started going in and people, this gets a bad rap, but when you know how to do it, it shouldn't. I started going into forums and coaching for free, not pitching myself, but people would ask questions. And I knew the answer. All of a sudden, once the light bulb clicked, I was like, oh, well, you need to do this. So you need to do this. So this is a sales question. But the biggest obstacle I faced was, I remember going into the B School forum, and there were 15,000 people there at that point, and asking, how many of you, just curious, how many of you believe that you need selling to run a successful business? And I mean, the comments were no, 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 no. No, I don't want to sell. I don't want to be pushy. I don't want to be icky. And so that then led me to believe, or showed me that I can't just tell people what to do. I've got to sell them on needing selling. So I had a free call back before webinars. It was the free call where people dialed into the free conference call number or whatever. And it was called How to Host a Consult That Sells. So what I had been teaching these these one-on-one clients I taught for free.
Yeah.
And I spent the first 20 minutes of the call talking about why you need selling. And basically the answer to that question is, if you Google the word selling, you will find the exchange of money for a product or service.
Mm-hmm.
What that means is if you don't have sales, your business is broke.
Right.
That is where the changing of money, the changing hands of money happens. And so, yes, you may want to change the world, and you may have people out there to help, and you may be the best marketer in the world and have the best copy in the world. But if you don't have sales, you don't have money. Which it also means you're not helping people because nobody's feeding you. And then this is number 2, answer to your question. How did I find those people? So 200 people registered for that call.
Okay.
I gave every single person a free session.
Whoa.
For that call.
Oh my God.
50% of those people took me up. So straight up and down, 100 people.
Conversion. Okay. So 200 people on the call. And then you just to break that down, because you were in B school. So was it just like they became friends of yours on social media and you just put it in there? Like,
I didn't get that from B. So that wasn't in B school. So I just posted it all over the place.
All your stuff.
Free call,
right.
How to host a consult that sells. And have you ever heard of a free call that gives you a free coaching session at the end? That was my hope.
So you knew you were going to do that. Okay, cool.
People didn't know me. So you get something before the call, some sort of pre-work, you get the training. It was more like a free master class or something like that.
Right, exactly. But 200 signed up, 100 took you up on your offer. So 100 booked the call with you?
100 people booked the free call.
And how long did you do? Do you remember? Like how long?
That was March, April, May. That was, I did it in 3 months. So I didn't have anything. I didn't have clients.
Right.
So,
this was great, but this is a great strategy. And how long was the duration of each of those calls? Like 30 minutes?
They were supposed to be 15 minutes. They ended up being 30.
Okay. All right. That's good though. This is cool. This is the stuff I really like to break down, because I really want our guests to, our listeners to like do something, like go and freaking do something. If you're like, I don't have a client, just freaking do something. Go put yourself out there, make a crazy, make something that's really bold. Like what you do was bold to say, I'm going to do this free call. And if you want to get like me one-on-one, you can. Half your people took you up on that. Okay. So you did these 100 calls. Then what happened? So
here was the promise of the free call. The promise was, bring me one area of your business, one sales problem of your business, and we'll troubleshoot it. And 100 people took me up on the free call. So we did those free calls March, April, May. By May of that year, I also had enough clients to have my first $10,000 month.
Nice. So
that's the thing that skyrocketed my business, was saying, okay, I'm going to book my day full of free coaching. However I know how to get butts in the seats to free coach them, to show them what I can do. And from that, there are people who are still going to need help. And I'm going to then do what I know to do. Follow up, because 50% of all sales are closed in follow up. I'm going to continue to help. And those people turned into customers.
And we, at that point, the one-on-one, still in like the one-on-one, they were, okay, so you're just on one-on-one coaching. Yeah.
I did one-on-one coaching until the end of that year. And the following year I launched a mastermind. And then I also launched sales school for the first time that next year. And the cool thing about sales school was I had this idea. I thought it would work, but I had only taught it one-on-one. So I do this giveaway every year in November called Playing Oprah Giveaway. I gave 300 people access to sales school for free. Anybody who signed up got access for free. I taught it completely for free the first year.
Got it.
And I treated it as if they had paid $2,000 for it. So instantly I had raving fans for sales school.
Got it.
And when we launched it again the following, whenever we launched it again, I was also confident. Like, okay, we taught this to 300 people. I'm going to cap it at 50. I know that I can over deliver for 50. And so that's kind of been the ongoing evolution of sales school.
I love that. Thank you for walking us through that trajectory. Do you still do your mastermind? Is that still something that you are
This is the first year I have not done it. So, and I miss it. I do miss it. But the focus this year is supposed to be all on sales school in July. What would happen if we focus all of our attention on making this the most well put together launch that we possibly can? So
and are you opening up? Like, are you opening up? Is enrollment still going to be capped at 50? You making that bigger?
We've uncapped it. Yeah.
Okay. So you're like, you kind of contained it for a while, and then you realize, all right, if I let go of the mastermind and pour my energy into this particular program, that's where you can make the biggest impact. And it also, you know, and I know like Marie did that very much like with B School, and she used to have that mastermind, which you were a part of. And there's something to this idea of, you know, simplification and, you know, saying you can't be in all those places all the time. And once you figure out like that's your thing and you love it and you have, you know, raving fans and you know that you can, you know, get your hands on more of these people, you can really change lives. It sounds like that's where you've decided to hunker down and put your eggs.
Well, so I think that I always joke that this is the entrepreneur experiment. You know, I every year I set goals, like most people, I set goals. And so this year the goal was what would happen if Sales School got all of your attention. Now I'll say it's March right now as we're talking, and it hasn't gotten all my attention. We've moved, we've whatever. So, and I've done a lot of other things, you know, I've allowed my attention to get pulled away. But what I also know is that at the end of this year, I will make a decision on what we do in 2019. So from March 1st forward, it really does get all of my attention. And so we'll see, you know, we'll see. I can guarantee you it's going to be the best put together, if that's not great English, but the most succinct launch we've ever done, because it got so big. So we uncapped it. We did 50, 100, 200, and that was great. But the number of people outgrew the program. So there were starting to be some things that I didn't like and some inconsistencies. And so, okay, great. It's time for a quality control assessment. And how do we make this better? And so that's what this year is about.
I like it. Yeah. And what you just said is so profound. And that's how I run my business and my life. A series of experiments. And honestly, Kendrick, this year, I use Asana as my project management tool. And I actually started a new cool project in there. Y'all, everybody needs to have a project management tool, FYI. And so I have a new project in there, and it's not the name of a particular program. It's just called Experiments. And it has given me so much freedom because I'm not like, oh my God, it has to be, and it's just like experiments. It has this energy of, let's just see. It's this curiosity. I'm going to follow it. I'm going to have fun with it. I'm not going to put too much pressure on it to be something before it is. And so this year in particular, I've just been following that. Like, oh, I'm going to put this program out because I'm just interested in it. And let's just see. And then I'm going to do this other one because that feels really good too. And then you'll make decisions. And that is such a wise approach to really figure out how you want to design this thing. And it's different for everybody. It's based on your lifestyle, based on your desired income levels. How much do you really want to work? Do you like having, you know, lots of people in a program, or do you want to have that more contained? Do you want to have more one-on-one? So do you still do one-on-one work as well? Or is it really just, you know, Sales School primarily?
It's mainly Sales School. I do have some one-on-one clients, people who have worked with me in the past who have emailed and said, you know, can I need some help? I've got this project. I'm happy to do that. The other thing I do periodically is we have a Sales School alumni lounge of all the graduates of Sales School. And so just recently I went in and said, hey, I don't have one-on-one clients, so everybody here gets a free session just for being an alum, you know, a part of Sales School graduate. And some of those people have said after those sessions, hey, I would love to have you as my coach. I'm launching a program. So it depends on a case-by-case basis. Yes, I have. Last year, I worked a lot of launches. So it was the year of launching for other people, it seemed like. And I worked a lot of high-profile launches behind the scenes. So I'm not doing that this year. I'm saying no to a lot of that stuff. But yeah, if there's a need and I can help and it sounds fun, sure, I'll explore that. I've got room in my calendar for that. I will say, Jenny, one of the things that I did wrong in these last 6 years was, although I am a quota exceed quota, I got too attached to the quota. And in the last year and a half, it was not all about, but I was really too attached to a revenue number. Are we going to hit or exceed what we did the previous year? And I woke up and I thought, this is not fun anymore. Yeah. I am turning down dates with my girlfriends. I am dropping balls left and right. I'm not proud of it, but it's true. It's part of my entrepreneur experiment. This is not who I am at my core.
Right.
It's supposed to feel expansive and as if I am helping and make me happy. And I literally would walk in here and think, I don't want to turn my computer on.
Right.
And so that is part of what led to this in 2018, saying, no, we're going to stop dividing your attention. You need some quality control in this business. You need to be happy when you turn the computer on, because what a gift this is.
Yes.
This opportunity is. And so it's been a great year as far as a mindset shift for me.
Yes. Thank you so much for saying that. I've gotten into those places too. And I feel like that's really the work, and I remember in my last corporate job, like that's so much of what it was like, cause I received percentage of profits based on the number, how well our conferences did, how many people signed up, how much sponsorship dollars we had attached to it. And then, just what the profit was at the end of the day. And it hit me that I just can't live like that. I can't live in a way where my day is good if when you look at your numbers, they're going up. And then if, somebody canceled their registration or the sponsorship didn't come, then you feel crappy. It's like your happiness is rooted in other people's decisions. And that can't be it. That is just never going to work out for you. And I got into yoga and I was like, I'm out. Like that just, there's more to life than that. But then there's a book by John Kabat-Zinn, Wherever You Go, There You Are. That shit will follow you. If you haven't really dealt with it and cleaned it out and gotten to the root of where that came from, what's that about, it's just going to follow you into your next venture. And so that has followed me into entrepreneurship. And as you have too, I've gotten into those places where I'm like, why am I doing this? Like nobody has given me this quota. I've set it for myself. And it's fun to have a goal and a target, but you can't base your value and self-worth on whether or not you hit it. And, it's just, you have to run that experiment. So thank you so much for sharing that. I know our listeners are going to, take that in. So if you could just kind of sum up what is authentic selling to you? Like, what is it? If you had to just describe it, what is that?
Yeah. So we've established that you must have sales in order to make money. But what you do not have to have is any action that makes you feel icky, sleazy, slimy, gross, pushy, or like a bully. So if the reason that people, when I took that poll all those years ago, said they didn't want to have to sell or didn't think they needed to sell is because they didn't want to, because they had a preconceived notion or had been sold to in a way that did not make them feel good. It made them feel an icky, sleazy, slimy, gross, pushy, like a bully, whatever you want to say. And so is there any wonder if you are engaging in an activity that makes you feel that way, you're not going to get the results you hope to get, or they're certainly going to be less than stellar. And so authentic selling is a step-by-step process that allows you to see selling as helping and allows you to make tweaks within the process so that you never, ever are engaging in an activity that feels icky, sleazy, slimy, gross, like a bully, pushy.
I love that. I love that. That's critical. Where can people find you, Kendrick? They want to find your stuff, get in touch with you. Where do you want to take them?
KendrickShope.com. They can come there. There's a host of free resources under the blog, podcast, free, whatever, the host of free resources there. Also, we have an authentic selling community where I free coach all the time. We try to do a one business truth every morning to get people fired up to go out and take on this world of entrepreneurship. And so, I'm easy to find. You can Google Kendrick Shope and connect with me any way you want to.
Awesome. And you have a podcast?
Yeah. Sell Like a Woman. It's a podcast called Sell Like a Woman. And we interview women who, like you, who have been super successful. And we talk about the things that you have done to be successful. And we highlight the differences of what perhaps, not always, but what a woman may have done and that led to success that wouldn't have been the right choice for a man, or vice versa. We've had men on there as well, but we sell differently. We are different. There's all this, and I don't mean this ugly, but there's all this talk about equality and you know what? We're not the same.
No.
The way that a man sells is not the way a woman sells. It's going to feel icky, sleazy, slimy, or gross to you if you try to do it that way.
Yes.
So that's what we talk about on selling.
Oh, I love that. That's awesome. Okay, everybody, I'll check it out. All right, Kendrick, it's been so fun getting to know you more and getting your brilliance and all of it. I want to know the answer to our finale question. What is the gutsiest move you've ever made? And how does it inspire your life and work today?
So I wish that I had, some great story here. I wish that I had some real unique answer. I don't. The gutsiest move I feel like I have ever made was leaving my corporate America job. And I'm sure a lot of your people say
that's gutsy, girl.
But I can remember after Rich Happy Hot Live being in a hotel room with a girlfriend who had gone with me. And we stayed up until 3 a.m. because I knew that I wanted to leave. I knew that I was going to come home and tell my husband and my 2-year-old, I'm going to walk away from this security. I knew I was going to tell my family, who I think wanted to have me committed, by the way, after I did this, that I was going to quit and it wasn't going to be popular. And I wrestled with that. And probably the first 4 years of my business have fought tooth and nail to prove to other people that, hey, I made the right decision. It's going to be all right. I got this. You don't have to put me in the insane asylum. It's all right.
Right.
But and I remember my grandmother saying to me probably two years ago, your grandfather and I thought you had ruined your life. We thought that you had made just one of the most selfish, irresponsible decisions ever. But we are so proud of you. And look at what has happened. And so, it took a lot of guts for me to be able to stand up to that kind of pressure and that kind of family dynamic.
You're like, thanks for your honesty, Grandma. Yeah.
She was always honest. That's for sure.
And you knew that. That's part of the process. You're like, Grandma and Grandpa are going to flip. And then, like how your parents, whoever. The societal pressures, I think, that's why most people are not entrepreneurs. It goes against convention. You're not being that cog in the wheel. And it's crazy. In some respects, it's absolutely crazy. But then in other ways, staying in is like nuts. You're like, why would I just stay here?
Well, so I joke, and I probably shouldn't joke about this, but I joke that had I not left, I would be on probably 4 antidepressants.
You'd be taking the drugs you were selling.
Which there's nothing wrong with that. Except I didn't need them.
Exactly.
Like I would be shopping at Target every day, dropping money, and I just would have been so unhappy. And so as hard as it was, and as gutsy as I can now see and own and accept that it was worth it, because on the other side of this, I get to help people live their dream. It sounds cheesy, but every single day.
And you get to create your schedule. You have a daughter, and so you get to, decide what school events you want to go, just how you want to live. And that, I had to go through the same thing. I had a 6-figure job. I made a lot of money in that business. Yeah. I was like, 'cause I figured out how to make profitable conferences. I'm like, well, I can get some of this money. I might as well be good at this. And, there were many moments where I'm like, what am I doing? And for me, it was yoga. I got certified as a yoga teacher, and I had thought about quitting for years. I knew it wasn't the right place for me, but I thought yoga brainwashed me. I was like, oh my, and for you, you weren't meant to be a life coach. I wasn't meant to be like a yoga teacher or teaching asana. But that was the stepping stone, which led me to coaching, which then led me to online marketing, and all of what I've created and built. But just for me, it's the level of freedom that I have, that when life happens, because it will, you can decide how to respond to that. You are not stuck in somebody's office who's telling you, well, you have 2 weeks of vacation a year, or, you got to go to this conference, and but that's when my niece is getting married, you know what I'm saying? Yes. Like that to me is just that you can't put a price on that. No. You just can't.
You can't. My first day back at work after I had Halliana was a week-long conference in Miami. And I was like, are you kidding me? Right. I have to be away from my baby for a week in Miami after I know I can't. Can I have another week off? No, you can. They were wonderful, but no, you can't have another week off. I mean, it was another.
Yes.
I agree completely.
Yes, absolutely. So everybody who's tuning in, who's like, can I do it? Kendrick has done it. I have done it. Yes, there are sacrifices. There are prices to pay. You don't become that success like the next day you decide to do it, unless you're a very rare exception. But just stay on that path. Kendrick, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing your wisdom and your expertise. Everybody, kendrickshope.com. This is Jenny Vennick. Thanks for being here. I'm sending you so much love, light, and faith as you get gutsy. I will see you next time.